Well, here we are back. We're really rolling through these. Get to know your wedding pros now. I appreciate it. We had a little hiatus here and now back in the action. I have another one today with a photographer. We have Joe Matt here, Lovecraft Events. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Having a pretty busy week. It's keeping me on my toes. So, trying to enjoy the ride.
So where are you, just for everyone listening, where are you based out of?
So I'm based out of Shoreline. I don't know, I guess for folks that aren't around, say North Seattle, but just across 145th, man, up here in good old Shoreline, Washington.
That's good. And I got the page up here. We'll pull up here in a minute. I always kind of ask, just start out and we'll get into more of your background and how you got into everything. Elevator pitch, just kind of what do you do? What are you all about? What's Lovecraft Events?
We're mobile entertainment company, man. So we run the whole gamut. Mobile DJs, sound, lighting, photo booths, effects, MC. We throw parties. We throw awesome parties for your special day. It's kind of our thing. And just bring the party right to you, whether it's private, corporate, wedding. Underground, backyard, whatever. We do parties, man.
I like that. And I transitioning more unwillingly, it seems, to corporate. I really enjoy weddings. Where do you kind of find your main niche? I mean, it's great to tackle a lot of that stuff, but what do you like to do personally?
Personally, you throw me into a warehouse at 2:00 in the morning with a bunch of sweaty kids listening to like chunky Chicago Latin funky lean on it, it'll hold you up house music, but I don't get paid for that very well. So, but I think like as far as the business goes, right now the thing that we do the most is weddings, especially right now. It's the busy season. But I've only been really doing Lovecraft Events for the last few years, so we're still trying to find our footing. And I think that there's a debate that probably goes either way for being able to work with clients that you can do repeatable events with, right? Versus with weddings, it's really kind of a one and you're done. You may get a recommendation, you may get a referral from it, but you're not going to do their wedding again next year. So I guess if that makes sense, we're trying to kind of move more towards more repeatable stuff and have good relationships with people. But like I said, we're still pretty early in the game. So
what kind of got you guys involved in all this? I mean, how did you what's kind of your background?
Yeah, so I guess I'd say, well, I've been DJing since I got out of high school, so way back at the turn of the century. Just to date myself real quick, but I've been DJing for forever. Music's always been a part of my life. I like making music. I played in bands when I was young, and I've always been DJing. So no matter what I've done throughout my life, it's always been a constant. There was a point when I was in my 20s where I really pretty much like made my living off of traveling around and really in the underground scene, but throwing parties, back in the 90s and into the early 2000s. But then as I got older, and kind of became more of an adult and decided I wanted to be a dad, I went into sales. So my background's really, I guess, sales. I've ran big box stores. I've ran a hot tub company. Right before the pandemic, I was in car sales, believe it or not. So I ran a business development center for Performance Kia, and I worked at Car Pros for many years. And then when the pandemic happened, I guess it was just kind of that realization of how fast stuff can just kind of get taken away from you. I worked at a pretty stable place, but when you don't have anybody to sell to, obviously, business is business. So when all that went down, I just started kind of thinking, hey man, I think it would be cool to pursue this music thing on a performance, like on a I don't know, a professional level, just to be able to do performances in music. And I've always sold stuff, so I was like, why not be able to sell me? And so that's when the idea, kind of came about. And it was like, hey, let's try to do a company.
Well, I like that, and it's interesting because I find, and we get all sorts of different creative types on here, but it's like there's people that are like could be the greatest florist in the world, but can't run a business or can't do accounting. I can't do taxes, accounting at all. You can't market. So having that sales background and then going into this, I feel like has to help you at least give you a leg up in that regard. I mean, there's so many facets of running the business that you need to take into account, but at least one of those maybe you have the boxes checked.
Yeah. I think I probably actually underestimated how much, just having a grasp of a fairly complex CRM, multiple of them over the years, working at a couple of different dealerships, And like I said, running a business development center, which, wasn't huge, but, I think at some point had a team of 5 or 6 people. And our name of the game was responding to leads, talking to people, very fast, like very fast, like you get to them in 15 minutes, or 2 other dealerships got to them fast. And so when I transitioned over to this, I was just like, wow. So the CRMs in general are a lot less complex. Already having an understanding of automations and just how the sales process works in general gave me, I think, a leg up, because there wasn't much of a learning curve there. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's you're right. That makes a lot of sense. But there's still in other aspects a lot of things I didn't know. So
in terms of kind of what are you looking to do? I used to have like a couple teams, and I scaled back. Like the pandemic kind of scared me out of all of that. I'm kind of the one man shop now. Are you trying to go larger, book a lot of events and teams, or are you more of just like a solo go out and take care of things?
I'm small right now. I've worked with a few different DJs like over the last couple of years. I actually had people like on payroll last year, and now I'm going back to independent contracting for the moment. Just tried some things out. Some things worked, some things didn't. But ideally, like the long term, idea, like where I'd like to be in the next like a couple years. I don't know if you, well, just as far as planning goes, like there's there's a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. So they talk about wildly important goals. And so my wildly important goals over the next couple of years are really definitely to build the team. I would like to be more of like a CEO type of management, position in my job, and be able to run the DJs instead of running around and being the DJs. I'm still, fairly decent shape. I can run around and do my things, but like, my time is not going to last forever. And as I get closer to 50 and away from 40, I think that inevitably, like my body's going to not be happy. Like I'm pulling 18-inch subs and lighting rigs and trusses out of fans. So I want to get to the point where I can run a small team. That'll be the ultimate goal. Just really, sit back, 10,000 kind of foot view, and be able to manage things. And again, it's like what you're saying, Reed, because I do kind of understand how that back end stuff works. I am comfortable, doing books and sales processes and automations, and I'm comfortable speaking to people. So I think like I can best benefit Lovecraft events by being that face that's on the ground and going to talking to new people and gaining new connections and tying that back into producing more business. So yeah, at some point, but not now. And I'm still trying to learn everything well enough so I can make that team happen. And I would tell you that honestly, Reed, that is probably the most challenging thing that I've experienced so far. Team building is a skill, all in itself, and there's not a lot of, I don't know. You really kind of got to just jump into it and do it. If you're fortunate enough to have somebody around you that's skilled at it or knows how to do it and wants to even take the time to educate you on what that looks like, you're very, very fortunate. But I think a lot of us, that's probably what ends up happening is they cap out. You get to your 40, 45 events you can do a year, and then you're like, how can I do more? And you try to bring people in, mirrored in different ways, and have moderate to whatever degrees of success. And that's where a lot of people stop. You end up getting kind of burnt out because, you don't have the team around you to make things easier. So that is definitely the challenge right now is creating onboarding processes. Before I was like, oh, I'll just talk to other DJs that are experienced, which is great because they are, and they know how to do it. But experienced subcontractors come along with a lot of opinions, and like they don't want to show up early, and they don't want to go to wedding shows and, do stuff for free, even if it's getting them bookings and stuff. They just want to kind of show up, do their thing, and get out of there. So realizing that over the last year or two makes me want to have more structure for the people that I am working with and can hopefully be working with in the future. And I think that building a strong onboarding process and training program is going to be paramount to being successful, bringing people up from the ground up and creating loyalty, so people want to stick with you for a couple of years without just bouncing and having to do it all over again.
Well, it's hard because you find people, and it is like once you get them to the level where they're good enough that where you feel comfortable. There's like, well, now I want to go do my own thing, or I want to go do that. And I totally know what you're talking about. Where even just in more of creative fields like ours, like bringing in someone to work and go, the 99 other events you do a year, you can do exactly what you want to do. But when you're working for me, we have to do it this way, and really having that balance. And I've had that trouble in the past where it's like, this is how this is how we film, and it might not be the most exciting, or you might not think that this is the most thought-provoking way to do whatever, but like while we're doing events, this is what the clients want. And then when you go out, you can go run around and go crawl on the ground and go upside down and do all this other stuff. But when you're with me, and it is that balance. And I had people over the years where you finally just had to say, this isn't going to work, because I'm not asking you to do anything outside of the scope of anything. The client has a certain expectations here we need to hit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's it. Is I personally am I don't know, A-type personality, more OCD. I don't have to like walk into the room 4 times and turn the light switch on. But like, if you let me sit at a desk with a bunch of stuff on it long enough, I'll start arranging them in very neat ways. And I like things to feel a certain way. And I thrive with structure. I find most people kind of do that. I jive well with, and most of my anxiety and stress stem from gray area and ambiguity. So I feel like if you can create like a nice like system, it's easy for people to be able to follow and duplicate and replicate and create like a specific outcome that's repeatable. That's certainly important. And when you're like what you're saying, when people kind of come in and want to do things a different way, or maybe they don't really pay attention to the rules, or want to put a cable back a certain way, or put things or tear things down in a certain order, it can be frustrating.
Well, it's hard because, like I go in and work with clients, because it all scales down from like, who's paying who, right? And you go in and work with the client and they want it a certain way. And then I'm paying, like it's the scale of responsibility down there. And you're like, yeah, man, if you're out and wanting to make art films, you can go do whatever you want. But when we're trying to go do this right now, we need to do it. I'm curious in terms of, the events you do being the DJ, I try to prioritize, like when I sell myself, it's like, I try to be really low impact during the wedding day, right? Try to just be a part of it, let the photographers do. Is it, the onboarding with the client, them coming in? Is it the day of experience? Is it your communicate? What do you try to sell and differentiate you for the experience that the clients are going to have?
Passion, and I'd say attention to detail, which I think certainly a lot of people have out there. I tell folks all the time, like first and foremost, the 2 things that are like most important to me, and I usually tell people this like within the first like 30 seconds of talking to them on our Zoom consults, is I want to can you say the S word on the podcast? Is that all right?
No.
So I just say I want to do cool stuff with people, and have fun with them. So that's really it. And I usually tell them if me saying the word stuff is offensive to you,
I get that.
You're probably not the right couple, because like genuinely, I've talked to folks before, and there's a myriad of different focuses that people have for their big day. I've had people talk to me before and be like, hey, we have all our vendors done. You're the last one that we're wrapping up. The DJ is the last one. I honestly
love those calls.
They'll be like, I heard that you're a pretty good DJ from blah, blah, blah. And, we just want to book the B package and be done with it. We just care about the pictures that day, or the videography. We care about the images and the aesthetics. The music's really a background thing. We don't really care what you play as long as you don't suck. And depending on like how things are going, sometimes I might be like, oh, we're not a good fit for you, because I want to be working with people where the party is the main part of the focus most of the time. That's what we get. There's certainly exceptions. I hate it when people make wide generalizations and say everything's like this or everything's like that. But in general, like if somebody just wants to have a playlist, I would just advise them, like, you don't need to buy me. Like I'm somebody that's going to be more than that. So, like here's another person that could just do that for you if you just need to have somebody to do, background music. That's no problem. But I certainly respect and understand that for some people, it's just all about like getting these awesome pictures. And that's the big thing. Some folks, I think it's whatever, they got friends coming in from Greenland and Australia and across the pond, and it's all about just the fellowship and the communing, between families. People haven't seen each other in 10 years, and the music's really just not the focus of what it is they want to do. But like I said, we really want to do cool stuff with people and have fun. So if like that's your niche, if like throwing one of the best parties that you can have, and creating this awesome memory through people getting together and reflecting energy on the dance floor is your thing, that's really kind of what we're trying to do. But I guess at the same time, I'm not trying to say that I'll immediately say no to somebody that's like not aiming for that. But that's generally we want to understand what people are trying to accomplish on their big day and make sure that we align with it, and that we can execute whatever it is they're trying to accomplish at a very high level, and hopefully, even make it better. So understanding people's body cues and just being mindful, because I'm sure that some people are very experienced with planning or have a really good idea and they know what they really want. Some people have no idea what it is that they want. So just being able to get on and have somebody that you can listen to, like, effectively, understanding their kind of nonverbal cues and verbal cues to make sure that, you're going to be the right thing for them is what I think is most important. Because at the end of the day, whether our involvement is at high level or really we're way back in the cut, like either is acceptable. We just want to be able to make sure that, like, whatever it is they want, that we're able to execute it. And I guess furthermore, like, there's a lot of good DJs in Seattle, Reed. There's so many good DJs, straight up. We are blessed. I've lived in San Francisco. I've been in LA. I lived in Brooklyn for a while. I went to school out there for audio engineering, and even in Manhattan, which is just, it's freaking New York, right? Amazing. But there's a sound, like, that Seattle has. Like, we're really, really, really blessed with the talent pool that we have out here. And every place that I've gone to, other cities, I could maybe, like, sometimes I'd go to a place or a club and I'd find that sound, like, of home for like an hour or two, but never like consistently all night long. And I found myself longing, like, man, I wish I could go back home and just hear this like all night. So there's good DJs around here. My long story long. But what's also important, and what I try to tell my clients, is you can throw a rock and hit a good DJ around here, like a fine DJ, but it's super important that you have a professional that understands how to execute the entire day, the entire timeline, from the beginning of the day before you even do first look with Reed. Like, your DJ, your MC is the face of the first thing people see when they come up. They're controlling the playlist. They're scanning the mics for frequencies. They're telling people what's going to happen if you lose a button on your dress and, dad has to go to the bathroom or whatever. Like, we're the ones that are going to go, I know we're supposed to start at 4:45, guys, but hey, we're pushing back to 5:05. Everything's cool. Like, that's the dude that's going to set the tone. And so many folks are not aware of that. They just don't know. They're like, what's my day? My button's broke. I'll fix it. And it's like, yeah, but it's 82 degrees outside and there's no umbrellas. Like, your grandma's sitting out there in the sun, dude. Let's let her know she's got 20 minutes to go grab a lemonade. Like, you need to have a professional that understands and is in touch with what's happening all day long, all through the timeline, not just that somebody that can throw down on the ones and twos, because they're the face. They're the guy with the suit and on the mic, and they represent, like, how the day is going to go. So I always let folks know, it's like buying a car, like what I used to do, a hot tub. It's great if you can find the best hot tub. You're like, this hot tub is amazing, but what happens if you need service? Like, call the company and say, hey, I got a problem with my hot tub. How soon can you get service? Because if they're like 5 weeks, you're like, 5 weeks? Well, I can't not have my hot tub for 5 weeks. Maybe that's not the hot tub for you, man. It's a great hot tub, but if it breaks and you can't fix it for a month and a half, dude, like, maybe you want to check another service out. You know what I'm saying? So same thing with your DJs. Don't be scared to ask them what a grand entrance looks like. Don't be scared to ask them what happens if their speakers fail. Don't be scared to ask them, like, what happens if we need to take a left at Albuquerque, because that's where you're going to find out, like, who's going to, be able to make sure that they're executing what your vision is at a high level, and hopefully, able to work with amazing synastry with all of the other vendors, to make sure that they're not bothering you. I try to think of myself as like an extension of, of all the other vendors, depending on whatever the moment is. So in the beginning, Reed, I'm an extension of you. You're the videographer. You're the photographer. I've got my assistant in your pocket. Are we on time? Give me the 15-minute warning when we're going to break it down. Before we start, are you ready? Are you in position to capture your moment? Because they're paying you a lot to do your thing. Like, I'm an extension of Reed, and then when we switch over before dinner, we're the extension of the caterer. Like, are they ready to go? Like, do we want to make an announcement and tell people to come to the buffet when the Schaefer's aren't even like full yet? Like, you have to have a professional beyond DJing that knows how to execute at a high level all day long.
Well, I think it's hard because I deal with it also as a videographer. I think people in their head, they think, okay, wedding planner, I got to have a good relationship with them, right? I got to know what's going on. And then photographer, right? I'm going to be with them. It's like, I'm also with them all day, right? And as a DJ, like you said, you're also the face of kind of the bridal family, kind of however, right? Everyone coming in, you're that kind of extension of I'm the one that's kind of parlaying what was, the wishes of the couple and what they want going on. And hey, we're going to dance now, we're going to do this. And so I think it's totally undervalued. the appearance, demeanor, personality of DJs when it comes to people and what they want in their day. I do think a lot of people think like, oh yeah, they're just going to be behind the stand playing the music. It's like, no, but also there's you need someone to be guiding everyone through that, because otherwise it's the planner trying to do whatever, the venue people, then there's no like designated like person of like the authoritative voice of like, this is how we're kind of rolling through everything. I totally get that.
Yeah, we I mean, most of the time, like I use an app a lot of mobile DJs use called Vivo, and it's just like this little digital app that's got a timeline and asks you all the kind of, it's the aggregate of everything that I need to know from you between when we first meet and when you walk down the aisle, all the questions that I have. And one of the questions on there is just, who has the power to make executive decisions on day of, like flat out put their name right here. If you're not them, no good. And to be quite frank, like really, after the first year of doing a few shows without day of coordinators and without planners, and realizing that by default, the MC DJ becomes that person, whether you like it or not. I had a couple that was, I don't know how they got to it, but they had like this champagne pour where all the champagne glasses were stacked up and they're supposed to pour it and this cascade down. Come to find out, they don't drink. I don't even know how that ended up happening. They weren't alcohol drinking people. They did not know how to open a bottle of champagne, And so here's the moment I announce it. They're looking at me. The guests are looking at them. And I'm like, I didn't do this, man. Y'all got this. Somebody came in. I don't even know who the company is that set it up. Like, who's the person that's supposed to help you? And they're like, we don't know how to open the bottle. I'm like, oh, cool. Let me score this off, pop a cork off. And then she's got like white wine. He's got like some other kind of champagne. They're mixing two like different champagnes into the glasses. I'm like, who's gonna drink this? But same party went to do cake cutting. Utensils were gone.
Yeah, straight up. Always.
We're out in the middle, like, on a beach somewhere. Like, where are you gonna get a knife? Like, you know what I mean? Who's that guy who makes that decision? And then they're coming up and asking you. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm a DJ, bro. I don't carry I got lots of spare cables, Velcros. Yeah. No knives, man. I can't cut that cake. And that's the kind of thing, you just want to be able to make sure that, again, that you're using, empathy and compassion for people that don't have a lot of understanding, but also at the same time, making sure that you are being the professional and the authority to let them know that, hey, these are the things that can happen, and really projecting that value. Because, for us, if there's no planner, Reed, if there's no day of coordinator, we'll handle that day of like task for you, but there's a fee for it. Like, you know what I mean? We charge for it depending on the size of your event. And it's so much like less significant than what a planner starts at. But because we end up doing it now, like, after that first season, I've added that to the, to the a la carte menu now. There's like day of coordination, and it's like, wow, this is how much it costs. We'll have no problem. And then also, to let them know that, us, along with whoever you designate as a decision maker, we're in charge of how things run. So there's not any gray area and ambiguity, which is where that anxiety lies, bro. Because, you know what I mean? We just want to execute at a high level, because a lot of times folks don't realize, why something doesn't work, or, why something feels off. But in the end, we could easily be the person that takes the fall for that, or the blame for that, because there's like, well, you weren't even helping us. It's like, well, I didn't know we were supposed to help you. I thought we were just doing lights and sound, not planning. You know what I mean?
Well, it's hard, and we've talked about this a lot. I mean, this for years back now on this podcast. But like, the wedding's the kind of thing where in its conclusion, it is a successful wedding, right? I mean, unless the venue blows up or whatever. I mean, hey, like, that was a successful wedding. But there's various degrees of success throughout the day, right? And having 20 minutes of dead time because the DJ had to move the speaker from the happy hour and then had to go reset up in the reception, or we just had the wedding. Was it 2 weeks ago, and it was like a DIY kind of thing, but they're playing music in the corner, you can't hear it, couples aren't mic'd for the vows. I mean, I have everything up there, I'm fine, it doesn't affect me, but everyone there, and it's a small wedding, you can't hear. But so there's all these different things that can go wrong, but hey, they still had successful wedding, it still worked out. But people don't realize that having the true professionals in there doing that, elevating that, gets rid of a lot of those things. So like you said, you feel like something's awry here, like I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Yeah, it's just a feeling, like that's it. But yeah, I saw, like, I again, I guess I'd say, like, most of the time, I just try to find people that I feel like have a cool concept that they want to execute. I feel like we can have fun together. I mean, it doesn't always have to be, but it certainly doesn't hurt. I really truly want to try to work with people where I think that we're enjoying each other, so we can have fun. and then just understanding what their vision is so we can execute it at a high level. I've done a million walkthroughs. I can tell you from experience. I worked at an event place for a long time before I was a mobile DJ, and I've seen a ton of different vendors come to do their walkthroughs. I know how planners feel about a lot of mobile DJs, and some of them they're not that impressed. So when you show up sometimes and you feel like you're a thorn in their side, you're like, hey, I just want to check and make sure there's multiple circuits. Tell me where the fuse box is. I want to see where the load in is. Can I get the Wi-Fi password? I'll be in and out of your hair in like 5 minutes, please. Like, like I couldn't arrange to come down like during the rehearsal. And even if you do, you're standing around for an hour, like, just to do something really quick. But sometimes you'll walk up and depending on what that planner has going on that day, which may be something super busy, they're just not that happy to see you. And because they're walking like 50 feet ahead of you, like while you're trying to do stuff. And it's like, okay, here, how. But it's like, what I'm saying? Like, I want to work with people I can have fun with, Reed. I've had people where I walked in before and they're like, what's going on, dude? Hey, man. So what do you do? Like, just genuinely interested in starting to already forge the relationship to have, good synastry on the day of the event. When you meet somebody and their body language is off-putting, and not that it's personal or anything, but that's the kind of stuff that, with a little bit of patience and active listening and mindfulness, you can kind of sniff out in the beginning, I think, if you pay attention, and you can try to steer yourself away from some potential disasters. But I try to shine bright, man, and show genuine interest in people, and like I said, not take it personal. But sometimes just being the mobile DJ, you kind of get lumped into a stereotype, and people don't understand like exactly what it is that you do, and it's reflected in the way that they treat you sometimes.
Here's, you said that you used to play a lot of music, travel around. What kind of stuff do you play? What kind of music, and what were you? I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've always dabbled in music, like since I was a kid. Like I got a little keyboard when I was young, and so I started messing around with that and just kind of started figuring out the piano a little bit. I didn't ever have like official like piano lessons, other than when I went to Shoreline Community College, and there was theory and stuff in that. But I never got like piano lessons when I was a kid, but I messed around, like figured out some things, and then that translated into guitar. And I started playing the guitar a lot when I was a kid, and as a teenager and into high school, and I played the drums for a while. And so when I came out of high school, it turned into DJing. Like I went to like one of my first big parties and was like, oh my gosh, like what is that guy doing? What does that board do? Like I've got to know what it is, and started DJing. So like as soon as I started DJing, back in the 90s, like I have a big version of this, the old school MPC 2000 XL. This is the one now, but I got my hands on a 2000 XL, and a bunch of hardware, and dude, just making beats, dude, break beats, freaking hip hop, like house music, all kinds of stuff, because that's really that next level thing. I think a lot of DJs, when they get burned out after playing for a long time, they're like, what keeps it fresh is having your own stuff, or having the capacity to remix things that already exist. A small edit in a song can make a huge difference, Reed. I think any really DJ that's worth their any DJ that's solid out there gets off on playing something that people say is played out, or playing something that people think's like not touchable, and being able to play it and get that big reaction. Like that's a skill. You know what I mean? When you're like, yeah, this is played out, but I'm doing it so differently and I'm making it so fresh that I can still do it. That's fun. And a small edit, or a big one, but being able to take a song and just maybe shortening something or adding something to it, a build up, a transition, a riser, just a whatever, just to make it be like everybody's like, oh, I know this song, and then they're like, ooh, what's that? That's different. Like that's super exciting. So I think that kind of compelled me to be into production more. When I moved to San Francisco in like 2007, and actually kind of took a small hiatus from DJing for a while, and met some new people and got kind of a new circle of friends, and moved away from my hometown, Seattle, for a minute. And and that lasted for a couple of years. I still DJ'd a little bit down there, but it wasn't like a big focus. And then ended up moving to New York with this awesome girl, Kelly, that I was dating for a career opportunity that she was following. And so I got to live in New York for a little bit, and I went to Dub Spot there, which back then was like a school that kind of specialized in Ableton Live. And they had like a bunch of, I don't know, kind of prominent producers and DJs and musicians that were there. And so that's where I got my hands like really first officially kind of trained in how to use Live. And it was a fantastic experience, dude. I was like, this is so awesome. So really got into production like a lot there, and was putting stuff out for a little bit. But back then, and even really now to this day, I don't think I really understood how to like monetize it very well. So it was a hard thing because it's very time consuming, and it's something that takes a lot of energy out of your life. And so it's hard for me to do, and it wasn't like helping pay the bills. But I still do it from time to time. And I still, for the same reasons, you know, it's fun to be able to play your own stuff, dude. Like you can blow a dance floor up with somebody else's music. That's cool. That's what DJs do all the time. But there's a definite like tingle and, you know, hair raising kind of, you know, feeling that you get when it's like your track, dude. And that is it's pretty addictive, man. That's super duper fun. So yeah, I mean, all kinds of stuff really though. I can play with synths. I can make rhythms. I can produce full tracks. But it's not something, again, like right now with the small business that I'm getting a lot of time to focus on.
But that's good. But, you know, it gives you, and you can mess around, you know, being at weddings and stuff, and you get a chance to play. And I think it's still, you're able to kind of scratch that itch a little bit. And like you said, the be able to make money doing things that, you know, then you have the time on the side, if, you know, eventually it's right to kind of pursue a little bit more of that creative stuff.
Heck yeah, dude. On the real. Yeah, for sure.
We talked about couples you like to work with, fun couples that appreciate. Talked about kind of, you know, process through that. Anything else you want to make sure we touch on today? It's been fun kind of hearing your background.
Yeah. I don't know. Like as far as what I want to touch on, like anybody that's out there listening to us that's in the Seattle area, I'm new. Like, you know, this last few years has been humbling, you know, like we were talking about just before we started, putting on the web developer cap, the producing event cap, other than like what I do, stepping outside of it right now. I'm doing a mock wedding on April 7th at Imperial Lake Union. It's called They Said Yes. And after the wedding show, I was like, I think it would be fantastic to do a show that is different than, you know, a wedding expo. You know, I think people have had this idea before, but I haven't really talked to anybody around here that's actually done it. So we're producing a wedding, and we're inviting, you know, people that are interested in wedding services to come experience vendors do what they do. It's very different than, you know, walking up to I was at the Seattle Wedding Show this year. It was a great show. I had a 10x10 booth there. I think there's like 18 other DJs there this year.
It's hard.
It's hard. You feel like a commodity, you know. Not that, I mean, that's it. We all know what we're signing up for, but you know, you're packing in on Thursday or Friday. You're there all day, all over the weekend. Maybe you get a couple bookings out of it. Like I said, this year we actually did really well, so no complaints there. But it's very hard you've got your monitor set up and your little pitch that you're doing, and there's thousands of people walking in and out. It's hard to explain why I'm different than this guy that's 2 booths down from me or 3 booths down from me. They said yes. The concept is that people get to come and actually experience a wedding. So we're going to have a cocktail hour. During the cocktail hour, you can lounge with the vendors. You know, beforehand, Jenny Gigi, I know you've done a podcast with her. She's going to be doing like a little one-on-one photo shoot with all the people that come in, get a few minutes to talk to them specifically one-on-one. Each one of the vendors is also exclusive. So it's small, it's intimate, but the idea is hopefully this is repeatable, but networking with like the people that can do cool stuff and have fun. I want to get together with those people and do more stuff like this. So a client can come in and go, oh, wow, this is like how cocktail hour works. We've got Kelly Rose Music that's going to be doing live music instead of your typical cocktail hour playlist, right? You know, there's all kinds of cool technology that can play your playlist well, can even mix it together now. But having Kelly Rose on stage, able to interact and make eye contact with people, be able to do custom songwriting for your day. And, you know, she taps out rhythms on her guitar, records, you know, harmonies and you know, riffs like through her loop pedal, and then is like doing a live performance. it's such a elevated experience versus like a playlist. But you can't. That's hard to explain to somebody in words, right, Reed? Having somebody come in and be like, "Whoa, this is it. We got our drinks, or like this thing's happening." It's easy to go, "Wow, I can picture this. This is what my wedding could be like." Then we're going to do a grand entrance, and instead of a wedding party, because there's obviously not really one happening, we're going to introduce all of the vendors, to great fanfare, just like you would do for a normal, grand entrance, except for, now I'm getting to say something about Reed Photography. I'm getting to say something about Imperial Lake Union, Jenny Gigi, Kelly Rose, whatnot. So have them come in and do that so they can experience the grand entrance, right? Then we're going to sit down and give everybody a plated meal. And then during the plated meal, we're actually going to do a ceremony. So we've got this awesome actress, Adrienne, that's going to be wearing a customized dress from LaBelle Lane Bridal Suite. And I don't know if you've had David or Austin from Orion Entertainment on their podcast. If you haven't,
I know David very well. Yeah.
David's awesome. And he's one of the, I don't think he knows this, but really kind of a mentor to me. I've watched those guys since I got in the game and watched their website develop and watched them, do stuff from afar. There's not a lot of people that I look up to in the city. But I really, really look up to those guys. Austin's been nice enough. Actually, I need to call him today because we lost our suit sponsor. So we're trying to figure that out. But he's going to be the actor for the groom. So we're going to do a mock ceremony. The marriage mate, Brooke, is going to be doing the officiating. So people get to experience a wedding. And there's going to be a poetry reading that gets done. But, you get to experience the wedding. And then when we're done, we're going to do toasts. All of the vendors are going to get a couple minutes on the mic to talk to everybody and hold the room's attention for a minute. Then a short dance party and then a giveaway at the end. So basically all the vendors they have like gift certificates for their services. We're giving them all away to one lucky winner as a grand prize. And that's sorry, my long story long, Reed. I want to work with people. I want to shine light on people. That's what I want people to know. Like, if you work with Joe Matt is really, really like passionate about what he's doing right now. I'm not one of the guys that's been doing this for 15 years and is burned out. Like, I'm trying to go up. I want to do more than just be a mobile DJ. I want to kind of step into that production realm. I want to network with people. It's what I'm really good at. I love talking to people. I love hearing about their experiences. I love understanding them and then connecting people together so we can do something cool and great and better than what you experience. Like if there's one thing I could say that I want people to view me as a DJ, it's, I'm not like the best DJ at all. I'm pretty damn good, but I'm not like the best. I've been doing it for a long time. I can rock a party. But legitimately, like, I just want to create an experience when you come out and see me. Like, if you were to come out and see me play, where you're like, that was better than what I normally see on the regular weekend. I don't want it to be like, oh, that's just like every DJ I see. When you see me, my goal is for you to be like, ooh, that was different. That was nice. Like, I like that. And that's the kind of stuff I want to do with people. So, for anybody that might be out there watching this or hearing this, like, know that, like, I exist, and I want to work with you and I want to do cool stuff with you. And if like you're looking to do something cool with somebody, I'm that guy. So like, hit me up. I want to meet more people, because I'm like I said, a fledgling in this fledgling, like new thing that I've got going on right now, Reed. Every day I meet somebody, I'm like, oh my God, you know them. And they're like, yeah, of course. When I was talking to David about a rental company for my show, he was like, why don't you just call blah, blah, blah at court? And I was like, because I don't know blah, blah, blah at court.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I got you. And I was just like, I know you do, but I'm still like new guy. I'm running around, like going into bridal shops, going into bakeries, introducing myself, going, here's my flyer and this is my idea. Like, do you want to get on board with this? And hearing no over and over and over until I got some yeses. So yeah, that's the thing is I'm out here and I want to work with cool, like-minded people, Reed. That's what I'd say I want people to know about me.
Well, perfect. And I do also know blah, blah, blah over at court. So that's good. I'm glad that you're getting them involved in this. Where would you have people check out? I got your website up here, lovecraftevents.com. Anything else you want to plug in terms of where people can see anything you have going on?
That's all of our socials, man. So IG, TikTok, Facebook, it's all at lovecraftevents.com. I did get a DBA for Lovecraft Booths. So we're going to try to be doing like kind of its own website, its own entity to kind of grow photo booths. I've got a couple of them now, and I've got somebody new. It's girl Dawn. That's going to kind of be my operations person there. So there'll be Lovecraft Booths pretty darn soon too. And like I said, if we can get this, they said yes, off the ground and make it repeatable, hopefully by the time we get to August or October, we can do another one. So my goal is for the end of 2024 to have Lovecraft Events, Lovecraft Booths, and kind of they said yes as their own kind of separate entities as my finger fingerprint on the industry. And I was actually talking with David. He's going to have me, I want to butcher this, but I'm going to, I think, be part of, or the new communications director for ILEA here in Seattle. So they're gonna have me doing some kind of social media stuff for them. I think I don't want to butcher it again, where we just kind of talked about it last week, but I know he's been wearing a lot of hats, and it's going to be something that I can come along, I think, and kind of take some of the weight off his shoulders and do that. So hopefully that'll get me some exposure to the industry. Because obviously those ILEA events are super pertinent, to just kind of being around other folks that are like-minded and doing cool stuff.
Well, awesome. Well, David's a good one. I can vouch for him. And yeah, I know the girls over at Imperial, so that'll be fun. We did their venue video back. Was that 2 Januaries ago? So yeah, well versed over there. It's a good spot. Good luck with that. I like the idea of that as well. Like we've talked about, trying to sell yourself as not a commodity, and kind of get all that stuff. Joe, I appreciate it. If you are interested in coming on the podcast, bestmadevideos.com/podcast guest, and all the links are on there. We'll see you next time. Appreciate it.
Okay, Redmond, be easy, bro. Take it easy.